Hello guys, I'm back, and surprise, another early video. And now you may be wondering why I'm dropping these videos earlier than I said I was going to be, and that's just because I'm so hyped at the moment. Something very exciting happened overnight. My viewership seemed to double, if not triple, which is very exciting. One of my videos now has over 100 views, which is just crazy to be honest. It's very, very cool. Now I know to some YouTubers 100 views, might not be much when they have videos with thousands and millions of views, but for me, 100 is absolutely crazy, and I really can't thank you guys enough for tuning in and supporting me. Some of the comments have been fantastic, showing their love and support, and I just wanted to celebrate with another video for you guys. So I hope you enjoy this one. It's Wood Elves versus High Elves, and without further ado, let's get into it. So I've had to pause the video here because, as you can see, the battle gets away straight away because of my very specially designed army. Now you can see I have a front line of dryads. They are these tiny little trees here. They're the main damage dealers. They're quite cheap, and they should be able to munch through high elf infantry fairly effective, at least the cheap ones. Now, the main bulk of my force, though, the thing I'm most excited to show you guys, is the Wild Riders. I have 4 units of these guys, one of them being the Regiment of Renown version. And if we zoom in here, you can see how awesome they look. They're one of my favourite units thematically. And if anyone who doesn't know anything about Warhammer lore, Wood Elves, they're not your standard kind of up their own arse, pointy-eared elflings. They're very vicious and dark, and they have this really sinister side to them, and I think the Wild Riders capture that perfectly. Elves riding stags are very angry with those big glowy eyes, and their helmets are pretty damn cool too. These guys hit like an absolute truck, but are a bit glass cannon, you don't want to leave them in combat for too long. Now my lord leading the army today is Orion. He's this big beast of a fella here. The most important reason I brought him is this horn right here. So if we look over at the ability, it's called the Horn of the Wild Hunt. This gives plus 54% charge bonus, which is a crazy amount. So combine that with the Wild Riders, who already hit like a truck. If you can time that right, they should be able to run over almost any front line. I've got a Spell Slinger here of life, just for some general healing. And over here, the Loic Tricksters, they're renowned war dancers. Now these ladies don't only look very cool with all their kind of tattoos and twin-bladed spears, they do a lot of flips and stuff, they've got some awesome animations, but they do a lot of damage to any large foes, any horses or any dragons that the High Elves might bring, so they're going to be rolling with Orion, trying to protect him against any of those nasties. Now my opponent is High Elves. These are much more of your standard elves, very regimented and so forth. So he's got a front line of spearmen, just cheap kind of, they're not chaff, but they're not overly great damage dealers, but they'll hold the line pretty well. And they allow the main parts of his army to do the damage, much like these 2 units of light archers and these Sisters of Avalon, which fire these almost kind of like, they look like plasma arrows. They do a ton of damage, and are surprisingly pretty good in combat. So these guys are rather scary for my little squishy elf force. He's got a couple of units of white lions to back up his front line. And over in the flanks, here's some skirmish cabs, some Illyrian Reavers, both this side, and 1 unit of Dragon Princes over here. Now these guys are hardcore, okay? They're heavy shot cav. They'll be able to deal with my Wild Riders very comfortably. They have a ton of armor, and I won't be able to get through it. So without further ado, guys, let's get going. So as you can see, the main idea of my army is to get up in their face straight away. So I'm taking a lot of damage on the run-in, but as you see, these Dryads are about to crush into their front line, and the Wild Riders charging in not too long after them. There goes bam, there guys charging in. So don't be too scared to charge your cav into spearmen, especially cheap spearmen. Just ensure that you pull them out quickly afterwards, or they will take a lot of damage, okay? Now as you can see, I'm rapidly clicking here, trying to break through the front line and get onto these archers. I want to shut them down as quickly as possible. I was very scared that they would kind of tear my lightly armoured army apart. As you can see though, it's looking rather bleak for me from the very start. I've managed to break into the back line with a couple unit of Wild Riders, but my Dryads are struggling, taking damage from this archer fire, and oh no, here you can see, very well played to my opponent. He brings his hardcore Dragon Princes round the side, pins in my Wild Riders, my very expensive squishy fellows, in between them and the archers. As you can see, they're just getting absolutely massacred. My opponent, very wisely, chases them off the battlefield. And the front line's not going quite so bad now. My Wild Riders have gone to the back line and distracted his archers. And my opponent's done something very cleverly here. He's expanded out his line of archers. Okay, a couple of units over here, a couple over here. So even if I charge one, I can see I'm breaking this unit and following into this one, he gets a bit of crossfire and it's really hard for me to kind of shut down all angles of approach. Now it seems to be going a little bit bleak for me here, but one thing that I can't tell you guys enough that's so important for new players to always bring back routing units. As you can see, I've got a unit of Wild Riders are coming back, and now they have a straight shot on some of these squishy archer units back here. Whereas my opponent makes the huge mistake here. This could actually save me quite well in this battlefield. The Dragon Princes, very wisely at the start, chased off my unit. However, my opponent then forgot about them and just leaves them on the side of the battle here. Now these guys could destroy Wild Riders comfortably, could destroy my Dryads quite comfortably, and do a lot of damage to Orion, and even these War Dancers if he cycle charges. But he forgets about them, and with this backline pressure I've managed to give in by bringing some of these units back, my front line is actually faring pretty well now. As you can see, Orion is getting in a nice juicy jaw of this prince, exactly where he wants to be, surrounded by these anti-large electrics doing damage to this poor little princeling here. You can see in the background there, Wild Riders just charging in, getting a nice fat hill, just doing some of that shock damage. Now I'm going to be bouncing these guys around the battlefield, charging into different combats, and just giving me that slight edge. So this very expensive unit of archers over here, been shut down by my Wild Riders. However, they're very decent in combat. I was actually quite surprised at how well they managed to hold up. They're doing quite a lot of damage back. I've got an overarching view of the battlefield here, guys. As you can see, I managed to break down the front line quite nicely here. My opponent, who originally did very well with his micro-resist archers here, they seemed to kind of slack off a little bit. They got distracted by my Wild Riders. They're getting hunted down. This is allowing me to win the front fight. As you can see, guys, Orion made absolute mincemeat of this little elf princeling down here. The front line is broken, and my units can now charge in on these much squissier targets. Dropping another hill here, it's important to just heal your units as you go, especially big entities like Orion. You get so much value from the team. You see, charging into these white lines, they're not going to be having the best day here. Even my spell slinger is getting involved. Orion sending elves flying left, right and centre to light. My front line is starting to compromise his archer line. Got Wild Riders running around the back, cleaning up these archers. And with that, my opponent surrenders. Now, he could have possibly gotten back into the game if he brought those Dragon Princes back. They could have done a lot of damage, but with my Azrai Spears still around, and Orion still not even used his healing abilities yet, that he gets from the Cloak of Isha, which is a very important ability, which when he gets below 20% health, he gets a huge health increase and a massive damage resist. So your opponent thinks he's close to finishing him off, sends everything in, he ends up tanking all that damage, and the rest of your army to kind of swoop in and save the day. So let's go to the end scores here, guys. As you can see, my army performed pretty well there. Everyone kind of doing a lot of damage. Real MVPs for me with the Wild Riders, getting in those back lines, messing up those archers, and then allowing my front line to actually win that front infantry fight. Now, well played to I Bleed Jackie D, well honourably fought. If that's Jack Daniels he means by I Bleed Jackie D, I'm very impressed, my friends. And I quite like his army, it's pretty good against standard Wood Elves. Now, one thing my army is very good at here is adverting expectation, guys. Wood Elves normally bring a lot of skirmishes and kind of try and kite the opponent, so by bringing a rush build, you often catch people off guard. And the main mistake my opponent made was those Dragon Princes and these Illyrian Reavers. They didn't do much in the battle. They did very good to start with, chasing down my Wild Riders, but they could have been invaluable to the front line. So well fought there by my opponent. Now, would I recommend my army to a beginner? I'm going to say yes. There's a little bit of finesse involved, but for the most part your army is just trying to slam in to as much damage as quick as possible and break through that front line before you can get to that soft underbelly of your enemy's army where you really want to get those archers and so forth. So a small amount of finesse, trying to time the horn. I actually mistime it slightly in this battle to not quite get the full effect. But all you need to do is charge that horn at the same time as your guys are charging in, and you should do some serious damage. I've had 50-50 luck with this army. It seems to do well against Empire, and certain builds it just seems to get destroyed. Cheers guys, hopefully you enjoyed this video. Now I am going to be trying to do a campaign in the next couple of weeks, and there's two main options that I'm probably going to be doing. So it's Itic Claw, who's this kind of mad, genius Skaven. Very scientific, kind of lots of wacky inventions, very fun. So I can scheme to get, my big piles of green cheese, or I can play as the Lizardman. Now, someone did leave a comment under one of my videos to try and tell me how to pronounce the name of this character. Apparently it is said Tehenowen. So hopefully that's right, so thank you to Raptor Claw for trying to sort out my very terrible pronunciation. So Tehenowen, he is a skink, a very buff skink. He's a religious, zealot, kind of an extremist, worships a big snake god. Very, very cool. Wants to destroy all Skaven and drive them out of his homeworld of Lustria. So guys, just let me know down below which one of those you would like to see. I'm also thinking of possibly doing a beginners tournament. So a tournament, it'd be quite small probably because it'd be my first tournament as well. With maybe just 4 players, all kind of beginner level. And it'd be a good chance for them to jump in. So if any of you guys are viewing this and you really want to play this game, that could be the perfect jump off place. So let me know guys, sorry about that. Let me know guys if that's something you guys would be interested in watching. I'd be very happy to do it. It'd be a bit of a work in progress, not having done anything like this before or any kind of tournament play. So just let me know guys. Thank you so much for the support. It's been very crazy. I hope to see you guys again soon. Peace, peace.